Good Tuesday morning, my friends. Today is May 25, 2021. You have your books? Are you ready for today's devotional? Let me take a sippa and then we'll see what it's about. That's a fresh one with whipped cream on top. So hopefully I don't have a white mustache now. Take It in Stride is the title today. Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Well, I'll tell you what, I must be very, very blessed. How about you? Oh my goodness. Thank goodness I haven't kept a record and my brain doesn't remember as much as it used to of all of the awful things that have been said to me in my life. Okay, let's see what she says about that. Wow, this is a pretty sobering statement. You may be persecuted, insulted, and lied about because of your faith in Jesus. That would certainly divide those who are Christians in name only from the Christians who believe in their hearts that Jesus is God's Son and that He died for their sins. Why would you endure persecution for something you don't really believe in? Standing firm for Jesus will result in blessing. He will be pleased with you. How awesome is that? So stay close to Him and He will take care of you. Now, I have to tell you, you have to be a pretty strong person emotionally, and you have to really know Jesus to not be completely torn apart when people say ugly things about you. I have had so many, you wouldn't even believe. I mean, my own mother. And my mother was a wonderful person, but she was just naive. She grew up. Her mother died having her. She was raised by old grandparents, and they died when she was young. And she just grew up very, very naive. And so I got a boyfriend when I was 16 years old. Long, long story why and how. But anyway, I was so upset with things at home. I used to talk to him on the phone about running away with him to California. He had a car. I have no idea how he had a car now and why he never went to work. And well, he was always outside school waiting for me. But anyway, I got into a relationship with him and it was not good. And so my parents sent me to Ohio. We lived in Arizona then, and my parents shipped me off to Ohio to live with my grandparents. Little did they know there are way more boys up there than there were in Arizona. But anyway, I was madly in love with the one in Arizona, so none of those tempted me. But anyhow, my mother had it in her head that I was going to die and go to hell any minute, and that I was surely going to grow up to be a prostitute. So anyway, when I was 18 and I met my first husband, Philip, we were in high school and I met him in the counselor's office. And I did get pregnant. I don't know how long we knew each other, but I got pregnant graduation night. We were celebrating a little too much. So anyway, we loved each other. And he said, well, I'm going to go talk to your mom and dad and we're going to get married. And I said, my father will kill me. He'll absolutely kill me. He said, well, I'm going to talk to him and I'm going to tell him how much I love you and we're going to get married. So I'm like, okay, I was terrified, terrified, terrified. My father, part of the reason I had the boyfriend at 16 is my father was so almost violent over the fact that I would have a relationship with a boy. So anyway, we did. I was almost 18. Let me see, when do you graduate? You graduate in May. I was 18 in August. So I was almost 18. I was 18 when I had Tammy. So anyway, we go to my parents' house where I still live. And Philip comes over and he asks them to come in the living room and sit down because he wants to tell them something. And I, of course, am just shaking with complete, total fear. And Philip, also 17, very grown up like, announced to my mom and dad that we were in love and that we wanted to get married and that I was pregnant. You know what my mother said? This one has never left me. Yes, I've forgiven her, and yes, I loved her, and I'm so glad I got to take care of her when she had dementia. But this hurt so much at the time. Philip made his announcement, and we were sitting next to each other and holding hands, and they were across the room. And my mother looked at Philip, and she said, "We know this was all Joy's fault, so you don't have to marry her if you don't want to." My mother's a Christian, my father's a Christian, I'm a Christian, Philip was a Christian. How did things like that happen? Talk about hurt. Philip never had any respect for my mother after that. He just couldn't believe she even said that, even thought it, never mind said it. But my mother was naive, and to her, if you had had sex before you were married, you were just a total tramp, you know, and so they were always dragging me up front to every preacher to pray for me, you know. And I wasn't that way at all. I just had one boyfriend, and then Philip. And I was, when we got married, we were both 18. We got married in September. So I got pregnant in May. So I was pregnant May, June. It was the end of May, so it would have been June, July, August, September 21. So I was 4 months pregnant when we got married. Yes. And then I thought, well, we'll just say Tammy was born early. Because, you know, back then, it wasn't as bad as when my mother was a young girl. Actually, her mother actually got pregnant with her before she was married. And didn't even get married. She died having my mother, and they haven't even got married. So, yeah, maybe that was part of the, you know, mother was called a bastard and told she didn't have parents and she would be treated different than the other children. And so she had this thing going on in her mind, and I totally forgive her for it. I've said things to my kids I wish I could unsay. I promise you that. So, anyway, 4 months pregnant, got married, thought, well, we'll just tell people I'll be pregnant 8 months and she should be born such and such date, and then I'll just tell people that she was born early. She was born premature, because then, you know, I wouldn't have been pregnant when I got married. Well, wouldn't you know, little stinker came a month early. I'm like, yes, I had my baby at 4 months old. Oh, well, anyway, that's just silly. But Philip and I were very happy until he got on drugs, and y'all know that story. Another very sad thing. So, hey, good message today. We even talked about it yesterday. If you're being insulted, if you're being bad-mouthed, if you're being lied about, oh, have I been lied about? You know, I think that's the hardest one, is when somebody tells somebody something about you and it's just completely, totally a lie. And there's nothing you can do to fix it, to change it. Because it was told to person one, and person one told person two, and person two told 10 other people, and you don't know person one, and you don't know person two, and these things go around, and oh my goodness, it is just so sad, so sad. I'll tell you, it went around the church we went to then. I was a nice girl, but she's a nice girl, but, and that came from the things my mother had told him. My daughter needs prayer because, you see, and then it goes, yeah. So, were any of you perfect when you were a teenager? I was up until then, I promise you. Someday I might tell you the story of what happened to make me decide I needed a serious boyfriend when I was 16. Okay, I'm getting sad and melancholy now, so I better shut up. And I better take another sip before I pour this on the carpet. Now, if you watched me yesterday, I put a video up yesterday working on my mystery quilt, so I know a lot of you have probably seen it. So I've got 4 rows sewn together, and I'm getting ready to try to get 4 more sewn together. I don't know what time of morning it is. It must be about 10 o'clock. So I'm going to try to get 4 more rows sewn together here at least today. Get this quilt put together. So I'll be back tomorrow. Y'all have a really nice day.